Hey guys, released a video on the Japan channel today about the licking eyeballs thing that's been going on in Japan. And after releasing that video, a lot of people have commented that they saw a story about it on the Young Turks, which, as those of you who don't know about the Young Turks, it's a YouTube based or internet based show. They call themselves a news service, a news program, and I used to actually watch the Young Turks quite a bit. I used to be a subscriber and I used to watch their stuff quite a bit, and the reason was that they were independent of big corporations. They were independent of big corporations, and it was sort of refreshing to see points of view about the news that wasn't coming from the big Western media, you know. So always good to get news from a variety of sources. So in amongst BBC, NBC, RT, everybody else, it was interesting to get the perspective of the Young Turks. There's a number of reasons that I think that they've lost it, and that they lost me. I unsubscribed. Partly because of the sellout thing. You can see they've gone down the corporate track. They're still pretending or holding out to be independent and small and everything else, but those of you who followed them know that they've sort of gone down the corporate track a bit, and you can see it's quite obvious, you know, that's what's happening with them. But the main reason was that there was a story a while ago, and we actually talked about it on this channel. There was a story a while ago about KFC sponsoring the cricket in Australia, and there was a commercial on TV showing the West Indian cricket team. So the West Indian cricket team and the Australian cricket team have been fearsome competitors for a long time. No idea how long, at least 50 years that I know of. But they've been fierce competitors, and the Young Turks reported it. I use the term loosely. Really what they did is they just commented on it. They heard about the commercial from somewhere, and all they basically did was played the commercial that showed some West Indians eating Kentucky Fried Chicken, and there was some Australians making comments, and they basically played the commercial and said, "Isn't that racist? How racist is that? Isn't that terrible?" And it wasn't. Basically, that chicken, fried chicken, black people racist thing is an American thing. So West Indian people don't think of the fried chicken as being a racist thing. Australian people don't think of fried chicken as being a black racist thing. It was just that the West Indians and the Australians compete against each other in cricket. So, and KFC was the sponsor. It had nothing to do with colour. There's also an English team that plays, and there's there's a South African team that plays, and there's a whole heap of different New Zealand team that plays, and there's lots of different people that play cricket. Nobody really stops to think about the chicken. It's a black thing. That black chicken thing is an American thing. So none of the countries that are involved in that competition think about it like that. So nobody had thought about it like that. So the Young Turks reported it, said, "Oh, check it out, you know, there's this commercial on TV, how racist is that? They've got black people eating fried chicken." Well, they had white people eating fried chicken as well, and it had nothing to do with anything racist. And after they made that, put that on YouTube and on the internet, you know, they're calling Australians racist. Now, I've got to admit, a lot of Australians are racist. Probably the majority. I think it's probably fair to say that probably the majority of Australians are racist. But the Young Turks were reporting that television commercial was racist, and it wasn't. It just wasn't. Nobody involved in making that commercial, nobody that was in that commercial, nobody in Australia who watched that commercial considered it racist in the slightest. It was some people advertising KFC. It was some people, some sportsmen who compete against each other in sport, eating fried chicken. That's all it was. There was no racist connotations for any of the people involved. So after the Young Turks made their video showing, you know, this commercial and saying how racist it was, they were contacted by people from Australia and the West Indies and from all different other countries saying it's not racist. That's an American thing, that connecting fried chicken with black people is an American racist thing. It's not a racist thing in Australia or in West India or any other places, in the West Indies or any other places. It's just an American thing. You're wrong. You're wrong. And then what the Young Turks did, instead of saying, oh look, we got it wrong, we saw it through our American eyes, we didn't see it through the eyes of the people who are actually involved, and we were wrong, it wasn't racist. Instead of that, what they did is they did another story, and they just basically said, oh wow, didn't we piss everybody off? Aren't all the Australians pissed off with us? Aren't all these people pissed off with us because of this thing that we said? And nowhere in there did they say, we got it wrong, it wasn't really racist. All they did was basically taunt anybody who was unhappy about that thing that they'd said, about the fact that they claimed it was racist. Which for a news, they claim to be a news service. You can see it yourself on their channel. They claim to be a news program, a news service. If they're just some YouTubers making their comments, I think that they can say what they want, right or wrong or whatever they want. I think that as we're YouTubers, I think taking the YouTube thing too seriously is not good. But these guys claim to be a news service, and I don't think you can claim to be a news service if that's all you do. I think if you've got a channel called the Silly Old Dude channel, you can take some commercial from TV and make comments about it all you want, right or wrong. And then if other people disagree, they can disagree. But if you claim to be a news service, I don't think that you can do that. I don't think you can just take some commercial out of context from a different country, put it on, look at it through your own perspective, and claim that it's racist when it's not. Now, the reason I'm saying this is because they've just done it again with this Japanese thing. What they've done is they've picked up this story about the eyeball-licking thing, and they've run with it. They've run with it again, and they do that, and they do that. And the reason that I made this video is just to give you guys a heads up that I think the Young Turks were very good, and they probably still do the occasional story that's probably interesting or thought-provoking or gives another perspective. But this is just a heads-up warning that they don't research enough. To claim that they're a news service. Now, if we're just commentators, if we're just commentators like we are, and we're just commentating and making comments, then that's fair enough. But if you claim to be a news service, then you should be independently verifying what you're saying. If you're presenting what you're presenting as news, then you need to be verifying the accuracy and the reality of it. And it appears they don't do that. They're commentators basically. They're getting these stories about commercials in Australia or eyeball licking in Japan or whatever else that they're running, and they're just getting the minimum, no more than we are seeing. Really, they're seeing it on the internet or they're seeing it somewhere, and they're going, right, let's talk about that, and they show it to you, and then they talk about it. They're like Ray William Johnson basically, but he doesn't claim to be a news service. He just claims to be a comedian. These guys claim to be a news service, so it's not good enough. So the reason I'm saying this is just a heads up. It's just a heads up. These guys are a good example. What I was talking about on the Japan channel about people doing that about Japan all the time, that find some obscure thing about Japan and then run with it and make it sound like it's normal, or like it's mainstream or very common when it's not. And that's what these guys do. So it's just a heads up. If you're going to be watching the Young Turkeys, just enjoy them. Those of you that do still subscribe and still enjoy watching them, that's great. But just keep in the back of your mind that what they might tell you might not be accurate, because they're not verifying the stuff that they're saying. So it might not be accurate. They've just seen it on the internet, or they've seen it somewhere else, and they're just running with it instead of verifying it, as a news service should do. So anyway, bit of a rant there, a bit of a rant. Don't normally talk about other YouTube people too much. Used to do a few parodies about different people on YouTube, but sort of stopped doing that. It sort of got to be a bit pointless after a while. I mean, we've got You know, there's billions of channels on YouTube we can choose from. So I think bitching about any of them's a bit of a waste of time, really. We can pick and choose which ones we watch. The only reason I thought that this needed to be said was that, you know, when you get inside information, or when you happen to know about a particular topic and you see that a group that are claiming to be a news service, that's the difference. That's the difference. If they just said they were a comedy program, or they just said they were just YouTubers, then I wouldn't have made this video. The reason I made this video is that these guys are holding out to be a news service. They're saying they're a news service. We are a news service. We are a news program. And they're not. Quite obviously, they're not. They're just commentators, basically, that are just doing what we're doing. They're watching stuff on the internet and then commenting on it. That's all they're doing, really. So, anyway, there it was. Heads up. Don't believe anything the young turkeys tell you. Just get another. I think with all this sort of stuff, it's worth getting from more than one source anyway. But just you know, this is just a heads up on that particular group. More videos coming soon.